One of the most unique aspects of the beginning of Parshat Chayei, after we have the Torah telling us about Sarah Imenu's death, Parshat Chayei, the life of Sarah, we have the discussion between Avraham Avinu and the people of Ephron to acquire the property that is known as Maris HaMachpelah, the place where Sarah Imenu, later Avraham Avinu, Yitzchak Avinu, Rivka Imenu, Yaakov Avinu, and Leah Imenu, and Esav's head would be buried. What is fascinating to note, and this is found in the entire section of Source 1, is that the dialogue is a very verbose dialogue. We find that Avraham Avinu, when he approaches right after the mourning, or still in the midst of the mourning, he approaches the people of Chet, the underline in Source 1, Pasuk Hey, and he asks them, I'm an alien and resident among you, please grant me an estate for a burial site with you. And they respond to him, you're a prince of God in our midst, we'll give you the choicest place to bury your dead. And Avraham Avinu rose up and bowed to the members of the council. We find that he bows a number of times, and he says, if it pleases you, please let me speak to Ephron ben Zohar. And he again goes through asking him for a place to bury his dead. And Ephron magnanimously says, right, wherever you want to, please, it's yours. And Avraham Avinu insists on paying for it. And Ephron finally says, well, 400 shekel kesef, which is over l'socher. And as the rabbis explain, this is source number 2, end of the first paragraph. He paid with the finest shekel, so it really wasn't 400 shekel. It came out to like 1,000,000 regular shekels. What is that between friends? And Avraham Avinu pays out this exorbitant amount of money to Ephron. He acquires the field. Vayakam asadeh. There's an acquisition. There's a kima. There's a getting up. There's an elevation going on here. And ultimately, Avraham Avinu buries Sarah Imenu in this grave. So I'd like to raise 2 questions. The first is, why is this section so detailed, so long? The Torah, which is so careful about everything that it says, why do we need to know that Avraham Avinu first went to the people of Chet and then went to Ephron? And the whole conversation is repeated and over again. Why is the Torah telling us all the details of this transaction when not been sufficient to say that Avraham Avinu acquired this, field from Ephron for 400 shekel kesef? Enough, finished. Why the details? Which is interesting, specifically in our parsha, where later on, as we've spoken about in the past years, where you have the details of Avdei Avod is even greater than Sichas and Shalbanim, of the story of Eliezer, Eved Avram repeated over and over again. It seems like this is something unique to Parshat Chayei, and we need to understand why this section is so lengthy. That's question 1. Question 2 is, when Avraham Avinu gives over this amount of money, in verse 16, that Avram heeded Ephron, and Avram weighed out to Ephron the price which he had mentioned in the hearing of the children of Chet, 400 silver shekels in negotiable currency. So Rashi points out, based on Chazal, that throughout the chapter in source 2, Ephron's name is spelled with a vav. But here, where money changed hands and the sale was consummated, the vav is omitted. Therefore, the Torah implies that his stature was diminished. Right? He started out making grandiose offers and in the end asked for a lot of money. So Ephron's written Ayin, Pei, Reish, Nun without the vav in the middle. So the second question we'd like to ask is, obviously that must be a lesson, but let's be honest. Does Ephron really care whether his name is spelled with a vav or without a vav? Does it really make a difference to him? And if it does make a difference, and obviously it needs to make a difference to us who are learning Chumash, what's the lesson we're supposed to learn? What's the message we're supposed to take? There is a message there, right? Don't try to be greedy, granted. But obviously, if we're talking here about every word counts, obviously every letter counts, and the fact that Ephron's name is diminished, and specifically with the letter Vav, it has to be teaching us something, and we need to understand what it's here to teach us. I'd like to try to suggest a mahalach, an approach, and obviously, as we say every week, it's not an exclusive approach, but an approach that I think is fundamental in terms of what this section is teaching us, And I think there is a very, very concrete lesson to be learned for our lives, and very much one that's continuing our theme, so to speak, of the slippery slope that we started in Parshat Noach. The Shvilei Pinchas offers a fascinating insight in source number 3. He notes, and this is the beauty of learning, he says there are 7 times in this section where the phrase to bury one's dead is mentioned. 6 times the phraseology is kvor metecha vek bara meti. First you have kvura, burial, and then misa, death, which is a little bit strange, because usually people die and then they're buried. But 6 times, over and over again, it says likborat meti, kvorat metecha, kvor metecha, vek bara meti. First kvura, first burial.